In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to tie 3 knots: the overhand knot, the granny knot, and the square knot. For this knot, you will need to find the middle of your rope and make a loop, and then feed the line over the top and back through to create your first knot. The overhand or thumb knot is generally used as a temporary substitute or first step to other various and sometimes more secure knots. For the granny knot, first tie an overhand knot. Then repeat that same motion down to which side you used to go under and which side you used to go over. The granny knot is unreliable, and you should not be using this knot on board your vessel. This knot is what happens when our next knot, the square knot, comes out wrong, and by knowing what it looks like and how it is tied, you can more easily identify it if you accidentally create one. The square knot is our final knot. It is the oldest way of taking 2 lines and tying them together. However, if the 2 lines being used are different size or texture from each other, then the knot can fall apart or become ineffective. For the square knot, you first tie an overhand knot. Once you've done that, you then reverse the overhand knot so that both your right side lines match and both your left side lines match. Now that you have your 3 knots, you now have your very own knot board.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Junior Adventures this week. My name is Ansis Kanik. I am the digital education intern for the summer. So what you just saw was a quick video on how to create your own knot board. Because today we are going to learn about life aboard a ship during the 18 and 1900s, and then do an activity so you can imagine what life would be like if you lived on a ship yourself. I want to thank our members and those who choose to donate to our programming at the Penobscot Marine Museum. For more information about upcoming speakers, membership, and donating can be found on our website and on our Facebook page. Throughout this program, please share your comments and questions by posting below. So today we're going to learn about people from Maine who lived at sea during the 18 and 1900s. First off, we see some of these people right here. The picture is of some sailors working aboard their ship. Many people made their living by working on fishing boats or trading vessels that would sometimes sail all the way to China. Other people aboard the ship could be the captain and his family, as seen in this photo. This is Captain W.R. Gilkey and his family. Your experience on the boat would be very different depending on what your role was. So if you lived at sea and you were part of the crew, your days would usually be full of hard work, no matter the weather or the time of day. If you were a passenger or part of the captain's family, you often had a lot of free time, but you were only allowed in a couple areas of the boat. Some children spent years aboard a ship alongside their parents. This is Joanna and Lincoln Colcor, who are the children of Captain Lincoln Colcord and Jean French Swister Colcord from Searsport. Both Joanna and Lincoln were actually born at sea. They spent about 20 years sailing on their father's ship. Animals also lived at sea. Here you can see 2 children with a goat. Goats were often brought aboard instead of cows because they didn't have to eat as much as cows would, but you could still milk them. We also have a family with a sheep here, which the sheep would also be used for providing milk even when the ship was miles away from shore. What other animals can you see in this picture? Can you see the cat in the little girl's arms there? And then the mother is petting a dog. So many animals were brought aboard as pets and lived alongside their families. Here you can see this dog came aboard the ship and he even has his own little dog house. This picture shows a little boy relaxing with his puppy. So sometimes life on a ship was relaxing, especially if you were a passenger or family member. So there's time to play. This same little boy brought his own little sailboat on board the bigger boat. So he had time to play here as well. Children would also do lessons for school while living at sea, and they would explore the different countries when the ship would land at port. Now, if you were part of the crew, most of your time was spent working. Crew members, both young and old, would have a lot of hard, tedious, and sometimes boring jobs to do throughout the day. Here you can see a sailor sewing or repairing sails for the ship while a baby keeps him company. In our museum collection, we have a diary from Edwin Mitchell, a 16-year-old boy from Maine who sailed from Belfast to California in 1866. In his diary, he talks a lot about the work he did on board. One of his entries reads, "Cleaned the lamps, after breakfast, worked in the hold a short time, then wiped the paintwork, then went into the launch and worked until noon. This afternoon I have been at work in the hold. I shipped as a boy, but I have to do a man's work." So from this quote, we can see how hard the sailors had to work. Boys who were working on the ship could learn different skills like navigation, how to work the sails, how to steer the ship, but that would be after they completed their own jobs. The crew would also have to work in all sorts of weather. So here you can see the sailors climbing in the rigging on the left while the sun is shining. But over here on the right, the sailors are in raincoats fighting a storm. Edwin talks about the weather in his diary, saying, "It is getting very cold in the nighttime, and one needs all the clothes he can get on to keep warm." And he also said, "All us boys do is stand by halyards night and day, cold job and a hail squall." This last picture is a sea chest that belongs to Anne Atherton Starrett, who spent many of her early years sailing with her family. This chest is made of canvas, and you can see Anne's initials stenciled on the side. In it, she could have kept clothes, food, books, maybe a toy or two. And for our craft today, we are going to imagine that we are going to go live at sea for several months. So we're going to make our own sea chests, decorate them, and then decide what we want to bring for our long voyage. All right, so I'm going to switch cameras here. Okay. So for this craft, you are going to need a printed template, which you see here, 2 pieces of cardstock. One of these should be white, but the other one can be a fun color if you'd like. You're going to need some sort of colored pencils, crayons, markers, and then scissors and glue. First step is to print out the template. So I will post the image below so you can print it out at home. And once it's printed, it's time to color it however you want. So you can go very colorful, you can do all one color, put some patterns on it, whatever you'd like. So I already colored one. So I chose green today. And you can add your initials like Anne did as well, if you'd like, on the side. So once you got it all colored in, the next step would be to cut out the chest. Just follow this dotted line here. And if you want, you can ask an adult to help you out here. It can be a little tricky sometimes. You can leave a little white space if you'd like, or you can cut right up to the whichever you prefer. Now, once that is done, this next step can be a little bit tricky. So this is a good spot to ask an adult for help. But what you're going to want to do is cut this line here. Now, you don't want to cut all the way through. So an easy way to do this is just fold it a little bit in half. Cut a small slit there. And then reopen it back up so you can see what you're doing. After that, cut the rest of the slit. Okay. Right. There we go. So after that, we are going to add the glue to the back. So now I have my blue piece of paper here. So that reminds me of the sea. And I'm going to put glue on the back of this chest. So we're going to create a little pocket here. So the top can be glued in completely. That way it'll stick nicely. But the bottom, you just want to do around the edge. Make sure you don't glue that flap shut. So flip it over, and we are going to place that right in the middle of the chest, in the middle of the cardboard there. All right, so see, you created a little pocket here, and that is where we're going to add the different things you want to bring to sea. So time to decide on what you would want to bring to sea. Now that you've learned a little bit about life at sea, what would you want to bring on your trip, especially if you were going to be gone for several months? You have to deal with the weather. Sometimes it can get really cold or really wet aboard. Is there anything you'd want to help to bring, anything that you would bring that would help with that? And other times the days might get really boring, like if there's no wind, the ship's moving very slowly to its destination. So is there anything you'd want to bring to pass the time? Maybe you want to bring a toy or a pet like the children did in the photographs that we've just seen. Now, I already drew what I was going to bring. So here I'm going to bring a blanket so I can be nice and warm when it gets cold out. And then I'm going to bring my cat Pierre so that he can keep me company while I'm working, or we can have fun together when it's really boring out. So once you decide what you want to bring, color it in on your white piece of cardstock, and then you want to cut it out. So then you can see, since I created this little pouch, there goes my blanket into my sea chest. Again, if you want to have an adult help you out, that might be a good idea when you're using scissors here. Nice. And there goes here into the chest. All right. So yeah, can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And if you want to post a picture of your completed sea chest, we'd love to see it. And you can add it to the comments below or tag us on social media. I will post the sea chest template below so you can print it out and get started on it. And if you're near the museum today, please join us for fun activities in person. We'll have this printed out and you can do it on site. Yeah, and you can learn more at Life at Sea if you come visit us as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back next week for more Maine stories, activities, crafts, and fun.